Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, episode number 65 today for the Belgian Grand Prix in Season 4. If you guys did miss the previous episode at our home GP, then be sure to go check that one out. Uploaded just yesterday, so daily videos here over the weekend for my team. Hope you guys are enjoying that, and be sure to hit the like button if you go on to enjoy the video. Last time out, we had a very different episode. You know, we did not have the best, well, no British driver really had the best time at Silverstone. Spoiler alert, of course, we ended the race very early. We still got to watch the rest of the race with some clever jigging to see the rest of the AI battles, and we got another different winner in this season. The record keeps on going on, and it's an absolutely bonkers one. As now we've got Max Verstappen in the lead of the championship in Mercedes, Ricciardo in second place following his win at Silverstone. Back-to-back victories for McLaren from Lando and then to Ricciardo, but it's 8 different winners in the first 8 races. This season just keeps on getting tastier and tastier, but Verstappen and Ricciardo seem to be the more consistent ones, especially as of late. You know, I said this last episode, Verstappen's kind of come out of nowhere. He's had a very quiet season ever since that win at Imola, but he's there, and he's leading the championship by a couple of points to Ricciardo. Button in P3, he had a quiet one as well. It really wasn't a great day for every Brit at Silverstone, and we moved down to P5 in the championship, and we're some 20 points off the top with Verstappen, so we really need to bounce back here. Belgium, though, is hopefully going to be a good place. Unlike Silverstone, the My Team car usually always goes well around Belgium. It never has historically gone well at Silverstone, so we were kind of almost breaking the mold a little bit, to be honest, qualifying as high as we did on the front row last episode, and, you know, taking the fight to Verstappen up until, obviously, the incident we had at the end of the last sector. So, you know, Button really showing the true pace of the My Team car around Silverstone. Vice versa, Belgium, like I said, in the past, it's gone really well, and I'm hoping that we can have a good one. Button is going to re-sign for the rest of the season. Of course, no doubt we're going to re-sign him for the remainder of this season. And with some HQ activity timelines, Jenson is now up to 90 focus. So he's 100 rated, 90 focus. Surely we're going to see a fired up Jenson Button as well. So not only are we looking to come back in this race, Jenson is as well after a quiet one at Silverstone. And really, if you think about it, the last couple of episodes has not been as good as he maybe was initially at the start of the season. He's been leading the championship up until last episode because of that poor performance versus Verstappen and Ricciardo. Up until then, he was doing a fantastic job, even if he wasn't finishing in the top 5. But, you know, he needs to also bounce back as well. The whole team does. A bit of a reset. It was a poor day all round last time out. And you got to remember, you know, think back to 2012, how dominant of a display Button showed around Spa. I think we could see a very quick man around here on the other side of the garage, but we're hoping to also have some speed around here, and like I said, hoping, as usual, the My Team car comes through for Spa. It is overcast, though, at the moment in Q1, and I think you can maybe guess what I'm about to say. Yes, there is some rain forecast to be on the way for not only today, but also tomorrow's race on Sunday, potentially. So, you know, it looks like the rain has returned this season. We had a bit of a breather in the first couple of episodes, but the same rain that kind of, you know, seemed to come so often last season has returned, has prevailed. But we are quickest of all in Q1, laying down a marker of intent of what we want to do this race weekend. Button P9, but I'm sure he'll speed up a little bit into Q2 there. You've got a very big mix of cars, you know, a lot of different people. For some reason, Sainz, though, looking very slow in the Ferrari there, way down the order compared to his teammate Leclerc, up in P3. So, yeah, a bit of a mixed up Q1 there. Hard to really tell any sort of pattern, but usually Q1 is not a great indicator of what's to come. Q2 then, we're out on the soft compound tyre, but you can see there are some droplets of rain going down the screen. You can see the streaks of rain on the halo. You look close enough. So it is raining right now, but it is dry enough. Unlike Baku, unlike at Canada, we don't need to bail in for the intermediates. We're not going to make a mistake and crash here. And really, it's all about trying to get a lap in. So we've gone straight out then to start our flying lap. There's a couple more people ahead of me, but honestly, I think we had a similar situation to this last season at Belgium, where it's about who gets the lap in quickest. You know, the first people people who are out there on circuit, they're going to get the driest track and therefore going to go the quickest. So we've tried to go as quickly as we could. I think we're maybe third or fourth in the queue of people on track at the moment. So let's see what this is going to be. It's been a bit slippery out there. Not going to be the quickest dry time you've ever seen, but it doesn't matter because all the people behind me are going to be on a wetter circuit. We're behind Button, so he went out before me then and set a lap time, and we make it through. But look at that. Massive names out in Q2 then. Verstappen, the championship leader, he is out. Leclerc is out in the Ferrari as well. The two McLaren just barely make it in. And you've got both Williams that have made it in. Guan Yu Zhou, P3. Bottas is actually the one struggling. He only just narrowly made it through in P10. So brilliant performance from the Chinese driver to out-qualify us in Q2 and be right up there. And the two AlphaTauris lead this session. So a very mixed up Q2 session. And that's changed things now. Because on this same weekend where we need to bounce back, of course, we needed, maybe Verstappen and Ricciardo to have a quieter weekend. Well, Verstappen, even though he's been so consistent, this is going to hurt him for sure. He's going to find it difficult to climb up the order now, being that far down the order. Ricciardo's still there, though, so the McLaren will still be a threat in the race tomorrow, and I'm sure here in Q3. But that's a massive sigh of relief in terms of us getting through and then seeing Verstappen down there.
Hope you're sitting comfortably, mate. We've got a sensor issue, and we're going to be stuck here for a while as we fix it.
So not the most ideal start to Q3. Small little sensor fault there, but it's only going to take a short amount of time, so we'll still get enough time to get in, hopefully, 2 flying laps. We're going to fuel the car for a little bit longer because we are now on the intermediates. The rain has continued to fall from Q2 to Q3, and the green wall intermediates are needed. So filling up for 2 consecutive laps, and the sensor fault will be fixed, and we can go out there and see what we can do on this first run, and then we may just get enough time for a second run. I may actually bail out and go on to another brand spanking new set of intermediates, because even though I feel like it's beneficial to do 2 laps in a row on inters, for me especially, to kind of find the grip and kind of find where I can find some time, I think with the fresher inters, that will just make a huge difference as well. But let's see how we go right now on this first flying lap then, with a bit of fuel in the tank. We've got Science P6, Gasly, Sonoda, Guan Yu Zhou. We got up to P5 behind Button. Schumacher ahead of us in P3 in the Red Bull then. And I believe at the moment on provisional pole position, I think is Valtteri Bottas, in the Williams on intermediates. We go for a second run. We have bailed in and got a whole new set of intermediates here, so we didn't do another lap after that one. So we've gone back in and then gone back out. It's a green first sector. We're finding so much time here on the new inters and also on lower fuel as well as the track gets a little bit quicker. Losing a bit of time though in the second sector. Very cautious into the last, so we lose a bit of time again into the last corner. But then as we're out of the final corner, gain a bit more time on the traction across the line, and it's not enough for pole position because we're 3/10 off the man on pole, and it is the Finn. Valtteri Bottas in a Williams is on pole position here at the Belgian Grand Prix. Absolutely stunning work from him. We're in second place, though, again on the front row in the second slot. 3/10 off, though. Valtteri pulled it out the bag in the Williams in these tricky conditions. Norris, Schumacher, Button P5. He'll be that's pretty decent, and I think he can do some overtaking potentially at the start of this Grand Prix with Schumacher and Norris there susceptible potentially. Ricciardo behind him in P6. That's good news for me and Jenson. And it's probably a disappointing day in the office for the AlphaTauris. They were looking so quick in the first part of qualifying, and second here in the third in intermediates, they just didn't light up the track in the same way. Let's go to the grid. I believe there is a chance for rain on Sunday, but I'm not too sure. You never know with this game. Let's just see how we go.
We're in Belgium once again for today's round of the Formula One World Championship. It's a race the great Ayrton Senna won 6 times, and in 2019, Charles Leclerc became the first driver to take their maiden win here since Michael Schumacher in 1992. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track is a great one for fans of pure speed. The average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles an hour. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Let's have a chat about McLaren. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position and the owner driver alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Norris, Mick Schumacher, Jenson Button and Ricciardo, Sainz, Gasly, Joe and Yuki Tsunoda, Stroll, Verstappen, George Russell and Leclerc, Hamilton, Latifi, Antonio Giovinazzi and Callum Islet, Matsushita, Lundgaard, Perez and Esteban Ocon rounds off the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So for the second time in a row, we're on the front row of the grid in second place. And this time, I am determined to make the most of it and have the polar opposite of what happened at Silverstone. A DNF there. I genuinely think we could actually go for the win here because Bottas, yes, he's got pole in intermediate conditions. But we've seen the Williams lack a little bit of downforce. He'll be quick in a straight line. But if we can try and jump him early and then try and control the race from the front, that may be the best bet. And then try and hold him up as best we can in the corners and then try and break the DRS in a straight. But I just have a good feeling that this may be the best chance yet to get that elusive first win that we haven't got after 8 rounds of this season. And if we do so, we're going to make it 9 different winners in 9 races. Let's see what we can do about that from the front row alongside Bottas in a Williams. As we go to 5 red lights here in Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. The lights are out and we're underway. A lot of wheel spin for Bottas. He's going to cut us off on the left-hand side there. We're going to weave about. We're going to learn from last season, take a wide line into turn 1 to avoid any contact on the inside. And look at the start for Button there, up into P3. He's jumped Norris and Schumacher and may even try and jump us as we go up the hill then through a Rouge. We're side by side and then up the Kemmel straight. Button practically pushing me down this straight. It's nose to tail and Jenson looking on the left hand side, looking to make a move for P2, and we're actually going to let him go and defend Norris and make sure you remain in P3 because I think the key today is working together with Button to chase after that Williams, because look at that, Bottas already got 8/10 on us and he is rapid in a straight line. That Williams is very good in straight lines, so the only way we're going to catch him is to make sure we don't squabble too much. So I want to obviously re-overtake Button later on in this race, but in terms of squabbling, we need to make sure we don't fight each other too much and we actually work in tandem to catch back up to this Williams car. On to lap 3 though.
The track conditions aren't improving. It's your choice as to whether you want to fit the wets next time you come in.
It started to rain. I was wondering for a second, what on earth is Jeff talking about there? He was kind of sounding crazy because I thought it was all dry, but then I looked closer at my halo. It is starting to rain, so is there more drama in this race potentially to come? A spanner in the works as the rain is falling, but it's not falling too quickly right now, but we're making a move on Jenson. DRS open for both of us, and we both gain on Bottas crucially, but we get back up into second place. Fast lap of the Grand Prix done. Purple first sector, and now we can try and hustle and harry Bottas, who's looking a bit vulnerable in the corners. You can tell that we've got more downforce in the corners. It's just every acceleration zone and main straight he's able to pull away from us, so it's about being patient and hopefully he can maybe even make a mistake in these very tricky conditions. As you can see, wobbling away on the steering wheel up the hill. It is a bit damp out there. The rain is actually falling and making a difference, but we're going to make all the difference in a straight line with DRS, and we punch past him and we're up into first place of this race for the first time. But there's still so much work to do. We've got a long way to go in this race. The rain is falling, but you know, even though it is, it's not really settling too much. You know, we've had now 3 laps of rain and it's not really making a difference on the track surface, although it is making a difference in terms of the grip levels. So is this going to be like a Brazil 2012 sort of esque race where the rain's falling, it looks pretty wet out there, but we're all still sticking out on the soft compound tyre because it's still not wet enough for intermediate? I think it may be because we've had so many laps of the rain falling and still nothing, as we now have to defend against Bottas. Look how quick he is in a straight line, especially with DRS. We're going to try and squeeze him into the left-hand side, and in doing so, Jenson will close up a little bit there in the mirrors, and he's right on the case of Bottas. Will he make a move? No, not quite, but it's nose to tail between Bottas, Button, and even Norris in the McLaren as well. Then a bit of a gap you've got to Schumacher at the head of the next train down the order. Then Guan Yu Zhou pressurising the Red Bull man as the Williams cars, both of them are actually looking very good, and we're looking a bit sheepish into turn 1. We keep locking up, and lose the back end. The rear end squirms, the lack of grip there, the slipperiness of the circuit. As the rain falls further, it's getting very tricky, but it's still not wet enough for inters. It's tricky, but it's not time for inters yet, so we just have to deal with it. Everyone's in the same boat. We're weaving about a little bit to try and break the toe of Bottas. Again, he's on the outside, and again we'll defend. This time we squeeze him out so much so that Button on the outside, up into P2. That's the most ideal place we want to be, because even though Button will probably now chase after us in a much quicker car than the Williams in the corners, I'd rather have Button there. It is a 1-2 for the team. Let's see what we can do. You can see Jenson already pressurizing us there, and the conditions are just getting worse and worse. You can see the rain is more on the screen now. We're going wide, and Jenson sends it down the inside there. He's so good through that left-hander, and we're just so poor. We're going to try and fight back at him there, toe-to-toe, side-by-side. We lose the back end, though, as the car squirms about. We have to catch it and make sure we keep it on the circuit, and in doing so, we have to go down to P3. These conditions, well, you know what they are? They're the perfect conditions for Jenson Button. This is what he was known for. He reveled in these conditions in Formula 1. Think back to 2010, the Australian Grand Prix, 2011, the Canadian Grand Prix, Hungary as well in the same season. So many times Button has been a supreme driver in these kind of changeable conditions where you have to go corner to corner and suss out the grip as you go on through the lap. You can't assume the grip's going to be there in the same corner, in the same braking zone. For example, we get past Bottas again into the bus stop there, so it's once again a 1-2, but this time Button leads the way. Can we try and close back up to him? It's lap 7. I would say the pit stop window is going to be open soon. There is a lot of tyre wear. Even though it's raining, we need to think about the dry tyre wear, and we need to think about, are we going onto the dry tyres? I think we are. Button continues on. We're going to come in because I can feel the tyre wear kicking in. I mean, I can see it on the bottom right there. Look at the indicator. The orange icon indicates the tyre wear is a little bit too much there, getting into the puncture region. Jenson continues on, as well as Schumacher. Ricciardo, the second man in the championship. The championship leader, Verstappen, also continues on. He's in P5 now, but he has had a pretty quiet race so far. Out of the points, I believe, also Verstappen. So there's a good chance Verstappen relinquishes the lead of this championship by the end of this race. But who will do it, and who will be back on top of the standings? Let's see as we come out. Pretty good pit stop for us. Bottas followed us in, and so he's there. But we're going to close up to Ilot Latifi on the mediums. It's such a weird scenario, though. This is literally like Brazil 2012. Like, the rain droplets, they're only getting worse, and yet it's still not feeling like it's wet enough for inters. Like, I'm struggling through some corners. There are a few mistakes you're seeing into turn 1, especially with a lock-up on the front right. But even so, it's still not enough to warrant inters. It just really isn't. Even visually, you can see on the circuit, even though the rain is there, on the track surface, the water is not collecting in the same way. It's not, visually there. So it is very much go time right now for the medium compound tyre. Whether we go to inters by the end of the race is a different story. But right now, getting past Latifi, oh so close to the grass. The Canadian squeezes us, but we're into P11 now, and we continue to push on, and we're going to see where Button is going to filter out. Easy does it into this corner. I mean, especially this one, turn 1, there's so many harsh braking zones where, as I said, lap to lap, you're just not sure what the grip levels are saying, and so you're going to be very cautious that you don't just go spearing off straight off. But you can see I'm still struggling. We're going a bit wide. The rear end steps is just, you're going to see a lot of this for the rest of this race. It's all about kind of controlling those slides and just making sure we don't lose too much time. And we're actually in a prime position despite that slide to maybe overtake Jenson. We'll have DRS here. He's just come out on cold tyres, remember, and we're going to fly past with ERS as well being deployed, and we're effectively back up into P1 once everyone else makes their pit stops. But interesting, myself and Jenson are the only guys who've opted for the medium compound tyre. Bottas and the rest of them on hards, apart from Gasly. who seems to be on a 2-stop. Him and Yuki, the Alpha Tauris, I don't know what's going on with them. A very weird decision. To be fair, Gasly gets past Bottas, so Gasly now is in P3, and will Gasly actually close up to us? Because remember, in these conditions, colder conditions where the rain's falling, softer compounds will give more grip and you'll be better. So that's why I think Jenson chose mediums versus the hard tyre, because although we may face some tyre wear at the end of the race, we'd rather have that extra grip. But Gasly, he's going to be very rapid on those softs, although he has to make another pit stop, so we'll have to watch out for that. But Bottas now down to P4 on the hards, as well as Guan Yu Zhou. You've got Schumacher on the medium, so a couple of people have chosen actually the different options. Sainz on soft, so Leclerc and Sainz maybe both going Ferrari. Again, we know their tyre wear issues. Maybe they're going for a 2-stop. Yuki, like I said, on the soft compound. No, Leclerc's on the hards. Leclerc on the hards. So Sainz has chosen individually to go for the soft compound tyre. And like I said, Verstappen and Perez as well, both of them knocked out early on Saturday. They're both struggling for pace. They're struggling to overtake cars because everyone's so equalized with the maxed out cars. It's hard to do. So this is a great opportunity for either myself or Jenson or even Ricciardo to climb up the order in the championship. But it's going to be a tough old fight here. We've got 10 laps left to go, and we're trying to defend against a man who is known to be the best, maybe, in these conditions in his prime in Formula 1. Button pressurizes us, but we just about soak up the pressure on that lap up the hill. But it's hard going. You can see the rain is almost visually a bit more on the screen as we go on through this race, but still not time for inters. But the track is getting damper and damper, and you can see a little twitch on the rear end there. Opposite lock through that left-hander. Again through the next corner. Big moment for us, and we keep it out the wall, keep it in a straight line. But now Button has a good run down this straight towards Blanchimont. Russell, though, out of the Grand Prix. He's retiring with a mechanical failure, it would seem. Going slow, the Alpine is down the hill towards Pouon, and because it's such an awkward place to park up, I think this may cause the safety car. That's why we're not looking on to where we are, because you can see the gaps have remained the same as Callum Ilott spins it in the Aston. For two races in a row he's span it there. He's really not enjoying that Aston Martin, but I believe that has brought out the safety car. Yes, it has. So Russell retiring brought out the safety car. So that is why we weren't watching on what was happening, because, you know, Jenson wasn't able to overtake us there. Gasly now will come in and he'll use that as a free pit stop. So that may actually aid the Alpha Tauris and even the likes of Sainz quite a fair. Oh no, Sainz pit. Oh no, Sainz pit before the safety car. What a shame. That's so unlucky for the Spaniard. But the two Alpha Tauris will gain from the free pit stop. But it's going to be myself from Button, Bottas now up into third, Guan Yu Zhou in P4. It's a Williams 3-4. Insane stuff there. And it's a 6-7 for the McLaren. But now going around under the safety car whilst the rain's falling, this is a very worrying sort of part of the race here, because you can see how cold my tyres are. But Mylander really not driving quickly. I'm trying to go alongside him, trying to hurry him up, but he just won't. Unlike real life, we have no way to complain about how quick he is driving here, but we need to try and warm up these tyres, because on the restart I can already see that's going to be a massive issue. You know, we're going slow, which is already cooling down the tyres, and you've got rain making the track even colder. So here we are on the restart, and we're going as close as we can to the safety car, because I don't want to waste any time cooling down the tyres anymore. I want to go straight away and try and get as much temperature into these tyres as I can on the restart. So here we are through the last corner, trying to judge when we go. We're going to go now. Bit of a rear end squirm. Button, though, actually not a good launch for him, so we actually have a good launch then into turn one, though. No grip, cold tyres going nearly straight off there, narrowly missing the sleeping policeman, but Button's there. He's side by side with us now as we go down towards Rouge and then up the hill. Radion, will Button go through? Yes, he will try it, but he just doesn't have enough grip there to get into P1. It doesn't matter though. On the main straight, he'll have a good opportunity now. We're going to try and defend from him on the inside. Will he go to the outside? Bottas is there as well. We cut back to the racing line. Button's there on the outside there. He's still there. He's still there. We're going to give him the room he needs, but we are going to maintain first place just about. That was so bloody close, because Bottas was also there. He could have maybe overtaken Button if we weren't careful. So we're lucky as a team that we've maintained that 1-2. But the grip levels are just getting worse and worse as the rain continues to fall. Lap 17 on to 18. We're going wide now. We're making mistakes. The same mistakes that Button is not making. DRS enabled again. So the track's safe enough for DRS according to the FIA. So now we're side by side with Button. Is this about to be a Titanic scrap? Myself, Jenson. We haven't really had a fight with Button so far this season. But this may just be it. Side by side through a Rouge. Up Radion, little lift off there. The car squabbling. It's so close on the front left. There's literally a piece of paper you can fit between us as we went through that corner. We have DRS though. We were actually second behind Jenson at the detection point, so we get DRS and we're able to get back up into P1. But what a scrap this is turning into, and we're just holding our own. But this is vicious. Jenson is just so good in this race right now. We're having to soak up so much pressure behind Bottas. Guan Yu Zhou still in P4. Schumacher doing very well for Red Bull in P5. Then you got the two McLarens, Norris, Ricciardo. Oh! Ricciardo spun in the same place Ilott spun, and he spun out Verstappen. The two championship leaders going into this race have spun out here. Verstappen down to P14, 15, 16. Ricciardo P19. F1 miracles are happening here. We had a howler of a race last episode, myself and Jenson included. It was a bad day for the team, but we're being rewarded here today because not only are we 1-2 right now in this race, but the two championship leaders who overtook us last episode have spun. Ricciardo with the same mistake Ilott made. Just, that shows how slippery these conditions are and how easy of a job we're making it look like in the lead of this race, because the AI, Ricciardo, just a big spin, and then Verstappen, he's just unlucky. He gets caught up in the spin. He was fine. It was just that he tagged the end of Ricciardo's rear wing there, but just showing, it may look like we're having an okay time, a few lockups here and there, but we're avoiding these massive spins that these guys are doing. Some big names, Ricciardo and Verstappen, having a howler now in this race. We're on lap 20 then. We've got 3 laps to go, including this one, and again having to catch the car. We are literally having to save this car every lap. This is a nightmare. This race has been so difficult to control and manage. It may look easy right now for both of us as a team, but no, every corner there's just danger awaiting us. We let Button through on purpose there, you would have seen, as we lifted off early, because I know we can try and re-overtake him maybe on the next lap. I'd rather do that. We need to work as a bit of a team as well to make sure that Bottas does not gain on us, but we need to play this smart as well as we go down the inside now into the bus stop chicane. Easy does it, going for the switch from right to left, try and get the tighter line. And this is really honestly turning into a sort of battle that I was dreaming of this season with my favourite all-time F1 driver, Jenson Button, on the outside. Here we are at turn 1. He's going to hold that line. Good defence from him, but we're going to get a good run surely up the hill. We won't get a move done into Rouge. Bit too risky in these conditions, but we'll just wait and get right up behind him. You can see the rain is still pouring on that angle. We move to the left. Oh, yo, yo. Tyre on the grass, DRS open. That could have been an Austria V2 there. We could have span it and T-boned Button if we weren't careful there. So it's getting a little bit hairy and frosty in the cockpit now. Lap 21, mistake again into P1. Tyre on the curb and Button's through again, just like he was earlier on in the race. On the left-hand side, we're going to squeeze him out. This is just a fight between me and him. Bottas is struggling for grip. 3.9 the gap is. So it's just me v Jenson for P1. We are going to get a 1-2 either way, but who will be on the top step? Will it be Button? Will he get his second win of the season? Or could we make it 9 different winners in the first 9 races of this season as Perez is out of this GP? It's another bad day for one of the Red Bull guys. This time it's Perez's turn as we look to make a move into the last lap of the Grand Prix. On the outside, side by side, into the bus stop chicane. Once again, that lovely cinematic camera shot as we go on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. This is it, and we're literally side by side, nothing between us into the last lap. On the outside again, trying to go for a tighter line into turn 1. Doesn't quite work for us, but again, we'll be able to make a move onto that Kemmel straight. We're going to save ERS though, crucially for later in the lap. At the end of the lap, I need ERS to help us out here. So here we are, DRS open. We won't use too much ERS here. We'll stop deploying once we're past him, and and then into the brake zone. Just make sure, nice and easy, don't lock up, don't go too wide there, get to the apex, and now it's all about controlling this one to the end of the lap, and we've got so much ERS to use that we push away from Button. It's building up to nearly 7/10 the gap as we save all the ERS for the last straight, and that's going to pay off for us because we are going to take it nice and easy into the bus stop for one final time. It's been raining all race, but no wet tyres have been used, and we're going to come through for the second 1-2 for the team this season, and our first win of this season. It's taken so long, but we are the 9th different winner in 9 races, and we've finally got that elusive win, and it's a 1-2 ahead of Button. What a fight that was, though, with Jenson. So satisfying. What a battle.
What a great race then, and what a magnificent victory here at the Belgian Grand Prix. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top 3 finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
Well, we've finally done it. I didn't think we were going to do it for some time. I'm not going to lie there, because it just didn't seem like we're getting the rub of the green or having the true race pace to get right up at the sharp end ever since the first race, where, remember, we were on to win at Bahrain, the opener, and we had that engine issue. Ever since then, I really haven't felt like we're in a position to win a race up until now. Like I said, on the front row for the second time, so showing that we do have some genuine pace from last episode to this one. But this time I was not going to I was not going to let what happened last episode again. We were going to make sure we grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and won the Grand Prix. And it's even better, it's a 1-2 for the team. It's been a long while since that first episode, but Button is the one. But it'll be Button that gets back into the lead of the Drivers' Championship then. He relinquished the lead for only one race and is back into it. But we're only now 1 point behind him. It's game back on for myself and Button for the championship potentially. Verstappen's still there though. Only 7 points behind still. Ricardo 11. Looks like the others may be creeping away a little bit. So are we starting to maybe see now the true championship contenders? Is it going to be Button, me, Verstappen, and maybe potentially Ricardo as an outside chance? We're going to have to see. We've had 9 different winners, so I don't know what the hell's going to happen for round 10, but surely whoever gets their repeat win, they're going to be in a good position, having 2 wins versus everyone else with the, 1 win apiece at the top of the championship. I don't know. In the constructors, it was a mega day for Williams. They're up into P3 now, ahead of Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari in the championship. Wow, that is unbelievable to see. And AlphaTauri, I've got to say, they've been so quick this season. They've been high up there in quali. They've been up there in races, but then they just keep having mistakes or not executing enough in the latter part of the races. And they're down in P7. I think they should be where Williams are. They should be, fighting Red Bull, really. If we look at their race pace, if we look at their 1-lap pace, especially with Gasly at times. So a bit disappointing for them, but we are still in the lead by 52 points. Obviously, having a 1-2 in the championship means that we're going to be top of the standings, as both myself and Jenson are trying to be as consistent as we can. But guys, what an episode around the Belgian Grand Prix. What a fight with our teammate Jenson Button. If you guys did enjoy it, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.